Very good morning, students. Today we are going to learn the new lesson number 12, Simple Machines. Children, you must have learned in the history that how much human beings have suffered to complete a small task in the olden times. Before the invention of wheel, before the invention of the electricity, various work was done with a lot of efforts and the struggle by the human beings. But afterwards, gradually, various inventions have been taken place and hence the work of the human beings become easy. So, because of what it becomes easy, there are various machines which we use nowadays to perform the various tasks which makes our work easier. So today in this lesson we are going to learn about some simple machines which helps us to make our work easy. Children, here you can see the various machines. These are the various tasks done by the human beings. In the first picture, you can see a person is sewing with the help of a needle. In the next picture, you can see the bottle cap is opened with the help of an opener. The third picture is of pulley. Then the next picture is of using a In this picture, you can see a man is using a wheelbarrow to carry the heavy loads. And the last picture, you can see a woodcutter is using an axe for cutting down the log. So, what are all these things? A needle, an opener, a pulley, a wheelbarrow, an axe. These are all simple machines. Now, these simple machines are helpful for the human beings to perform their work with the less efforts and very easily, and also it takes a very less time. Children, you can imagine to carry the heavy load. If we don't use a wheelbarrow and if we have to carry it on our head or on our shoulder, it will take a lot of time, as well as we need to apply a lot of efforts to perform the same task. So by using the wheelbarrow, we can complete this task within a less time period, as well as with a less efforts. So such a machines are used, and these machines are called as a simple machines. Let's see the definition of a machines. See, what are the machines, children? Devices which are used to get more work done in less time and less efforts are called machines. So what are the machines, students? The devices which we use to complete the more work within the less time period and by putting a less efforts. So such a devices are called as the machines. So in our day to day life we use various machines now, right? We use lift, then we use vehicles, car, we use pulleys, we use a mixer grinder, washing machine, dishwasher, various machines which we use nowadays to less down our efforts to complete the work. So these are all machines, children. But there are two types of the machines. Some are simple machines and some are complex machine. We are going to discuss it in details in this lesson. Children, we use various machines such as nail cutter, then the bottle opener, a wheelbarrow, a wheel used to push a load. It is called as a wheelbarrow. Okay, they have only one or two parts and a simple and a easy structure. So children, the machines which we have discussed till now, their structure is simple and they have one or two parts. So such a machines are called as a simple machines. Their structure is simple and they are easy to use also. Simple machines can be handled easily and there are less chances of these machines breaking down or getting damaged. We use many such a machines in our day to day life. We use pair of tongs, then we use scissor, nail cutter. All these are also a machine, and as they are made up of one or two parts and their structure is simple, they are called as a simple machines. Next is a complex machine. So students, we have studied about the simple machines. Simple machines, they are made up of one or two parts. Their structure is simple and they are easy to use. Now look at all these pictures, students. Here you can see the various machines. Now in this machine you can observe they are made up of multiple parts. They are made up of more than one or two parts. Let's take an example of a bicycle. You all are riding the bicycle. So in bicycle there are various parts: wheels, then handle, chain, pedals, seat, brakes. So like that, various parts are there which are joined, combined with each other and made one machine, correct? And these are, their structure is complex. Similarly, you can see the example of a mixer grinder. Mixer grinder is also made up of various parts which are there inside the grinder machine. Hence, these machines, their structure is not simple like the simple machine. So they are called as a complex machine. So all these machines like mixer grinder, vehicles like cycle, motorcycle, car, sewing machine, washing machine, fridge, all these machines, as they are made up of more than two parts and the structure is complex, they are called as a complex machines. So what is complex machine, students? Machines which have many parts which carry out many processes for completing one task. So take an example of a bicycle only. To carry out many processes like for riding, to stop the bicycle or to take the turns, there are various parts. To take the turns we use a handle of the bicycle. To stop the cycle we use brakes. To run the bicycle we use pedals, right? There are vehicles attached to it, so when we move the pedals, vehicles also moved with along with that, and hence we can ride the bicycle, correct? So all these parts of the bicycle carry out the various processes to complete one task. So this is called as a complex machine. So for this purpose the parts are joined to one another. All these parts like vehicles, wheels, brakes, handle, pedals, all these parts are joined with one another to complete or to make one machine. So a complex machine is a machine which is made up of two or more simple machines that make your work easier to do, and their structure is complicated. The structure of the complex machine is complicated. So we have studied the various examples of the complex machine: bicycle, then washing machine, juicer, grinder. All these are complex machines. So students, we have learnt about simple machines and the complex machine. So in our day-to-day life, we use various simple as well as complex machines, depend upon the task to be carried out and the time and efforts required to do it. Means what, children? We choose either a simple machine or a complex machines according to our requirement. Whatever task we want to carry out or whatever task we want to perform, according to that we choose either a simple machine or a complex machine. If you want to open a bottle's cap, we will not use a complex machine. For that purpose we will use a simple machine. But for traveling, we will not use a simple machine. For that purpose we will use a complex machine, correct? So according to the purpose and as well as time, we will choose a complex or a simple machine. Now let us learn about some simple machines. There are various simple machines, so we will study it one by one. This is the first type of simple machine. It is called as an inclined plane. Children, you must have seen on the roadside, for loading the heavy weights, for loading and unloading the various objects or which are in the truck, they are settling a inclined plane. Inclined plane is nothing but the slanting plank. So slanting plank is joined or attached to the truck while loading the various things into the truck. So here you can see the three pictures. Now consider this children needs to uh, load the heavy things into the truck. Now there are three situations are given. In the first, you can see the plank, the slope of the plank is given properly. In the second, the slope is quite steep, and in the third picture the girl doesn't use any slanting plank. So in which case it will become easier to load the heavy weight? Obviously, in the first picture you can see the boy will lift that heavy weight with a lot of ease because of the slope provided by the slanting plank. In the second picture, at least he can perform that task as the plank is provided there, but as the slope is not proper, it is steep, will be difficult for the boy to lift that weight into the, or to load that weight into the truck. In the third case, the girl cannot lift it as there is not slanting plank attached over there. It will be very difficult to load any heavy weights into the truck. So in such a situations we use a slanting planks. So if a slanting plank is used to lift a weight, we have to bear a less of weight and lifting it becomes easier. So such a plank is called as a inclined plank. So in these three situations, who would find the drum heaviest to load? The third case, C, that the girl will find it very difficult to load the drum and it will be heaviest for her. And who will find it lightest? The boy who is in the A picture, he will find it lightest and he will easily load that drum into the truck. And as compared to the A, B will find it difficult to load the drum into the truck. So if what we have studied, that with the help of a slanting plank we can do such a work with the ease, and such a plank is called as a inclined plank. So students, what we have observed here, when the slope is more gradual, the more gradual the slope, the lesser is the weight we bear. In the first case, in the A case, where the slope is more gradual, it will be very easy for the boy to carry out that work. Means the more gradual the slope, the lesser is the weight to be bear, and but such an inclined plane is longer. But in this case, the plank will be longer, and the steeper the slope, the shorter the inclined plane, but we have to bear a greater weight in this case. Children, have you seen the screw? Screw is used in the various purposes, such as while making furniture, or if we want to hang something on the wall. At that time also, to fit that particular object on the wall, we need to use a screw. So if you had seen the screw, what you can observe on the screw, there are various on the edge of the screw you can see the small lines on it. Now what are those lines? Those lines are nothing but the inclined plane which are made on the screw. So children, here let us perform one small experiment to understand how it works. To For performing this experiment, first we need a pencil and a paper. So to cut out a triangular piece of paper, and then draw a red line along the edge AC. Here you can see the edge AC. So here you will draw a line along the edge AC. Roll this paper around a pencil as shown in the picture. Now what you can see, when you are drawing that red line, you can see similar kind of markings on the pencil which we can observe on the screw. So the inclined side AC of the triangle descends gradually from A to C. The threads on the screw are made in the same way. As I said, when we will observe the red lines which are marked on edge AC, it will appear similar to the threads of the screw. So the threads on the screw are made in the same way. That is why when a screw is fitted in wood, it goes in as if it is going down an inclined plane. Children, if we use a nail and if we use a screw, in as compared to the nail, it is easy to use a screw to fit anything, as it has an inclined plane in it because of those threads. Therefore, less force is required to fit a screw than to a hammer a nail. In other words, a screw is like a rolled up inclined plane made up of an iron strip. Children, here you can see one more picture. This is the picture of a ghat. We can see such a roads at mountainous areas. There are various ghats in our nearby areas also. When we are traveling to Pune or Lonavala, we come across to such a ghat areas, Lonavala Ghat, Khandala Ghat, right? So these are the roads constructed in such a way as if it is winding up the mountain. So these are nothing but the winding road or a ghat that goes up a mountain, is also like an inclined plane wrapped around the mountain. And as it is a inclined plane, it helps big vehicles to climb up and down the mountainous area. Children, what will happen if the roads are not made in such a way on the mountains? If we have made a steep slope, it will not be possible for the heavy vehicles to climb up the mountain. But just because of the winding roads like an inclined plane, it becomes easy for the vehicles to climb up the mountain. Student, here is one more example of an inclined plane. This is called as the Archimedes screw. Why the Archimedes screw name is given, that we will also learn. In the past, the Greek scientist Archimedes, he was a great scientist and he invented this machine. And as he invented this machine, the name was given Archimedes screw, as it is looking like a screw and is invented by the Archimedes scientist. The name is given Archimedes screw. And he invented this machine to lift the water from the ship. So in the past, this machine was used to lift the water from the hold of the ship, and Archimedes used a round pipe fitted with a rod inside it. Here in this picture you can see, children, this pipe or this rod is making a 45-degree angle. Why it is making a 45-degree angle? As we have studied before, when the slope is gradual, it becomes more easy to lift the weight, correct? So for that purpose, he had made a 45-degree angle with one end inside the water and the rod resting on the flat surface. And when the rod was turned, so when the rod is twisted, when it is turned, the water got lifted in this device and it becomes easy to lift the water from the ships. Students, we are learning some simple machines. So in that, first we have studied the inclined plane. So what is inclined plane, students? When sometimes we use slanting plank to lift the heavy weights. So to understand that, we have studied the example where the boy needs to carry or to load the drum into the truck. So he has used a slanting plank which makes his work easier. So such a plank is called as an inclined plane. So student, next simple machine we will study is wedges. Now here are some of the tools which we use in our day-to-day life for certain tasks. So here you can observe their blades, how the blade of an axe or a knife looks. You can see their sharpness. They are inclined from both sides, correct? So these kind of blades are called as a wedges. Here we can use such a wedges for various purposes, such as to cut or to break down the object or to separate the object which are stuck together. So these tools are called as a wedges. An axe is used for cutting wood. Students, we all know that the axe is used for cutting the wood or the logs of the tree. A sharp tool is formed on joining two inclined planes. If you have observed the blade of a knife or a screwdriver or the axe or an axe, you can see that they are two inclined planes joined together, and such a tool is called as a wedge. A wedge is used for breaking an object into two pieces or to separate objects which are stuck together. An axe a knife or a chisel are some examples of this simple machine. A needle and a nail are also kinds of the wedges. If you observe the nail, you can see the point of the nail is nothing but a two joined inclined planes. Similarly with the needle. Students, what will happen if the blade or if the tip of these tools become blunt? Blunt means it is not sharpened. So what will happen if it becomes blunt? If the blade of the axe or blade of an axe or knife becomes blunt, we cannot cut the vegetables or we cannot cut the wood by using an axe. Similarly, if the tip of the nail or a needle becomes blunt, it cannot penetrate the object. Needle, for what purpose we use, students? We use needle for sieving the cloth, correct? So if the tip of the needle becomes blunt, it will not penetrate the, means it cannot pierce the cloth and it cannot go inside, so we cannot stitch it, right? Similarly with the nail, if the tip of the nail becomes blunt, we cannot use it for the various purposes. Now student, you can observe this picture. Now this person, this farmer is trying to lift the heavy stone or heavy rock by using one rod. So in this case, what he is trying to do, he is taking the help of the another stone which is lying on the ground, and he is using a big rod to lift the rock. So with the help of this kind of a tool, he can lift or he can remove the rock from that place with a much easier or with a less effort. So such a equipment or such a tool is called as a lever. Lever has three parts: load, effort and fulcrum, that we are going to discuss in details. Now what is load, effort and the fulcrum? Students, here you can see a farmer is using a strong crowbar. Strong crowbar is nothing but that big rock which is used to remove the big stone bogged down in the farm. Such a machine is called a lever. A lever has three parts, namely effort, load and the fulcrum. Now what is effort, fulcrum and a load, that we will study. Now what is fulcrum? The support at which the rod of a lever is rested, it's called the fulcrum of the lever. The lever rotates about the fulcrum. So students, in this case, what is fulcrum? Where the support at which the rod of a lever is rested on the small stone which is lying on the ground. So in that case, the small stone where the lever is getting rotated is a fulcrum. The next is the load. The weight lifted by a lever or the force against which the lever acts is called the load. The arm of the lever from the fulcrum to the load is called the load arm. So students, in this case, the big stone which the farmer is trying to remove from there is a load. Then the third part is the effort. Now what is effort? The force applied on the other end of the rod to lift the load is called the effort. The part of the lever from the fulcrum to the effort is called the effort arm. So students, here from where the force is applied, the end which is touched by the farmer, so from that end he is applying a force on it, correct? So that part is called as a effort. Students, we have studied that the lever has three parts, namely effort, load and the fulcrum, as well as what we have seen that the support at which the rod of the lever is rested. So here in this case a wooden scale is rested, is called the fulcrum. So fulcrum of the lever in this case is a pencil. Then what we have studied, the weight lifted by a lever or the force against which the lever acts is called the load. So in this case a paper weight will be a load. And after that what we have studied, the force applied on the other end of the rod to lift the load is called the effort. So in this case, with the help of the fingers, the force is applied at the other end of the wooden scale. So that point will be the effort, where the force is getting applied to lift the weight. So children, the arm of the lever from the fulcrum to the load, means from the point of pencil where the wooden scale is resting up to the load, it is called as a load arm. And the part of the lever from the fulcrum to the effort, means from the point where the wooden scale is resting on the pencil, from that point to the point where we are applying a force with the help of a hand. So up to that point it is a effort arm. So children, now we will study, there are three types of the levers. There are three types of lever. First is lever of the first order, then lever of the second order, and the lever of the third order. Now to understand it, we will perform a small task. You can to perform this task we will require pencil, wooden scale, and a paperweight, or you can use a eraser or a small stone also. Now put a place a pencil on a table, place a ruler on it at a right angles with it, put a paperweight on one end of the ruler. So children, what you will do, you will place a pencil on the table first, then place a ruler or a scale, wooden scale on it at a right angle. Place it in a right angle with it, and then put a paperweight on one end of the ruler. Now press the other end of the ruler or a scale with your finger to lift the weight. Now which are the load arm, the effort arm, the fulcrum of this lever? So as we discussed already, the where the wooden scale is resting to the point of pencil, so that will be the fulcrum. The stone or a paperweight is the load. So from fulcrum to the load is the load arm, and from the where the point we are pressing it, that is the effort. So from fulcrum to the effort is the effort arm. Now go on increasing the distance between the paperweight and the pencil. Now which you will shift the pencil towards the effort, means you are going to increase the distance between the paperweight and the pencil by 4 centimeters every time, and see whether the paperweight can be lifted when placed at each of those distances. And you will observe कि when you will shift the pencil towards the effort, whether it becomes easier to lift the paperweight or it becomes difficult. So as the effort arm becomes longer and longer compared to the load arm, less and less force is required to lift the paperweight. Such a lever is called the lever of the first order. Now this is the lever of the first order. Here what we have compared, by changing the distance between the paperweight and the this pencil. So once we um, lays down the effort arm, what will happen? Automatically the force which we need to apply to lift the paperweight will be required less. So this is the first lever of the first order. Now let us study the next type of lever, that is lever of the second order. Now to understand about it, we will take one example, the opener. Here we can see, with the help of an opener we are trying to open the cap of a bottle. So which is the load in this case? The cap is the load. The point at which the opener is touching to the load, that is means to the cap of the bottle, is the fulcrum, and from which side we are applying a force with the help of our hand at the other end of the opener. So that will be the effort. So here what we will do, we will try to open it, and when we are trying to open it, we need to apply a force from the effort hand, effort, right? So this is the lever of the second order. Now we will study the lever of the third order. Here you can see a pair of tongs. With the help of the pair of tongs we can pick up the various objects. So to pick up the objects we are using this pair of tongs. So here what we are lifting, the object which we are lifting, that will be a load. The tongs, when we are using such a tongs, we are applying a force on the middle of the tongs. So at the point where we are applying the force, that will be the effort, and at the another end fulcrum is there. So in the center effort, and in the other end fulcrum, and the another end load is there. So such a lever is called as a lever of the third order. So what we have studied, students, that there are three types of levers depending upon their positions of the effort, the fulcrum and the load. So what is the lever of the first order? When the fulcrum is in the center, the load is at one end while the effort is at the other end. Here you can see the diagram where the fulcrum is in the center and load and the effort is at the other ends. So such a lever is called as a lever of a first order. Then the second is the lever of the second order. Here children, you can see in the diagram, in the center load is given, and the two ends fulcrum and effort is there. So the load, when the load is in the center, the fulcrum on one side and the effort on the another side, it is called as a lever of the second order. Now we will see the lever of third order. So here you can see in the diagram what is in the center, students? Effort. So when the effort is in the center, the fulcrum on one side and the load on the other side, it is called as a lever of the third order. Students, we use various machines in our day-to-day life. So some machines which we use in our day-to-day life are shown in the pictures. What is the type of lever in each of this? Here let's take an example of wheelbarrow. Now in the wheelbarrow, first of all, try to find out what are the positions of fulcrum, load and the effort. Wheel is what, students? Wheel is the fulcrum. The place where we are going to carry out the load, that will be a load, and from where we are going to push the wheelbarrow is a effort. So in this case, fulcrum is in the load is in the center, and fulcrum and the effort is on the other ends. So in the lever of the second order, load is always in the center. So this is the lever of the second order. We will take one more example. Scissor. In case of a scissor, where is the effort? At the another end. Fulcrum is in the center and effort will be again on the another end. Load is what? Whatever we are going to cut, that will be a load. And the center, you can see where the plastic part and the metal part is connecting, that is the fulcrum, and from where we are going to apply a force, that will be a effort. So in this case, fulcrum is in the center. So this is the lever of the first order. Now we will take one more example. Here this is the pair of tongs. So in this case also, load is in one end, fulcrum is in the center and the effort is in the another end. So this is also lever of the first order. Students, we are studying simple machines in this lesson. So in the previous classes we have discussed wedges, then lever and the inclined plane. Children, what we have studied in the lever, that there are three types of levers according to the position of a fulcrum, effort and the load. So there are three types. The first one is a lever of a first order, then lever of the second order, and the third one is a lever of a third order. So these are depend upon the position of the fulcrum, load and the effort. So today we will study about the pulley. Pulley is also a simple wooden or a metallic machine that uses a wheel and a rope to lift a heavy loads. Children, you must have seen such a structure in a various places to lift the heavy loads. A simple example is, you might have seen that in the villages, ladies or those farmers are lifting the water from the well by using such a technique. So you might have seen the wheel is attached on the well and a rope is wound on that wheel, and they just pull that rope and lift the water from the well. So this technique is used to lift the water from well and it is called as a pulley. Children, you can also make such a pulley at home to try. You can take a pencil, some sticking tape, an empty reel of thread, half a meter of thick thread, a weight such as an eraser that can be tied to the thread play dove. So children, you can use these various things to make a pulley at home. Place the pencil on a table so that it just over the edge of the table. Fix it firmly to the table using the sticking tape. Insert the wheel over the part of the pencil that juts out. Put a lump of the play dough on the tip of the pencil so that the reel does not come off. Draw the thick thread having the weight at one end over this reel. What happens when the loose end of the thread is held and pulled down? The weight tied at the other end gets lifted. So how it is shown in the picture, we can make a pulley by using a rope, pencil and a eraser, and most important, we need to use a reel as a wheel. So such a device with a grooved wheel and a thread designed to lift weights is called a pulley. So understood what is pulley, students? A devices with a grooved wheel and thread designed to lift weights, it is called as a pulley. Now how does it help to use a pulley? If we use a pulley, force can be applied in the downward direction for lifting the weight in an upward direction. This is convenient and easy. We must have used such a pulleys as we have discussed one example in the villages. Most of the farmers and those ladies are using to lift the water from the well. Now the next simple machine is a wheel and a axle. Now here children, you might have seen a giant wheel. In a giant wheel, the wheel is fitted with the help of a center rod. So the giant wheel is fitted to the rod at its center, and this rod is called as an axle. When the axle starts rotating with the help of an electricity, the wheel fitted to it also starts rotating. This combination of an axle and a wheel is a simple machine. Children, even you, if you had seen the wheel of a bullock cart, in that also the wheel is fitted to the axle. One central rod is there, and when the rod starts moving, the wheels also start moving. So it is also an example of a wheel and a axle. Even children, when you pedal the cycle, you must have seen what has rotating in that. Here in that also the axle means that central rod will starts rotating, and then the wheel starts rotate itself. Now students, let us study how we should maintain the machines. Children, we use various machines in our day-to-day life, but if we will not take care of those machines, they will start dysfunctioning, or they will start giving some problems while working it. So what we need to do, we need to maintain the machines. Now how we should, or we are supposed to maintain the machines? Parts of the machines rub against one another when they are used. Soiled, dusty parts create more friction. Children, what happen when we use the various machines? Sometimes it get dusty, or even when we use it, it rubbed against each other, and it's there's some parts gets affected by the weather or rust or erode. So machines get damaged or become useless due to such a wear and tear. To avoid this, it is very important to take care of these machines. So as we use the various machines, for example, when we are using a bicycle, children, if you don't clean or if you don't maintain the bicycle, what happens? Gradually when you are using it, the dust starts sticking on the chain on your in your bicycle, and as more and more dust stick on it, what happens? It is not moving smoothly. So what you have to do in that time, you have to apply a oiling in the chain. Similarly, there are various parts in the bicycle which are made up of metals. We have studied that in especially in the rainy season, due to the weather, moist weather, the parts of the bicycle starts getting rust, and because of that also it starts dysfunctioning. And if we want to keep our bicycle in a good condition, what we need to do, we need to maintain it. Now how we are supposed to maintain it? By we can use uh, oil paint or some oils to make keep it from a dust rust free. And to remove the dust from the machines, we need to clean it regularly. So during the maintenance of a machine, all its parts are wiped clean. Children, those people who are using cars regularly, they have to clean their cars or scooters or bicycle. Why? Because the dust gets settled down on the various parts of the machine, and it uh, it creates some barricade, or it creates some problems for working. So we need to clean that machines regularly. Oil or lubricant is released between the parts that rubbed against each other, especially in the chain parts of the bicycle. Then in the brake parts we have to apply the lubricant so that it works smoothly, so that there is less friction between them and the wearing is reduced. So machines are covered when not in use to prevent dust settling on them. You might have seen, students, that many of the people, they cover their cars or motorcycles when they are not using it, so that they can prevent their vehicles from the dust. As well as not only the cars and the motorcycles, we can cover our various machines such as washing machine or a mixer grinder, so that we can prevent it from settling the dust on it. Children, uh, as we discussed, that especially in the rainy season, metallic parts start getting rust, which can create a problem in the smooth functioning of the machine. So to prevent the effect of whether metallic parts in the machine are painted externally, so we need to paint it with the oil paints, so that we can create a coat of that oil paint on that part, and it will not rust because of the moisture in the air, and the machines are always kept dry. So these are some things which we can do to maintain our machines. Here we can use such a lubricants or the oil paints to keep it safe from the rust. Children, do you know big factories have a separate department for the maintenance of machines? Factories are closed at regular fixed periods for the maintenance of machines. Even children, you might have noticed that even the in railway also, on Sundays most of the times, there are maintenance work carried out by the employees of the Central Railway, which helps them to keep their machines or keep their tracks working smoothly. So all the machines need to be maintained regularly so that they will work smoothly. Always remember that if machines are not properly maintained, they will be of no use when we are actually in need them. Children, there are many examples when we are not using any machine regularly. What happens? It starts creating a problem. So we need to maintain those machines regularly to keep it in a good condition. Before we use a machine, we must learn how to handle it properly, so that there are no accidents. So not only to use any vehicle, for handling any kind of electric devices or any machine, we need to understand how we should use it first. Otherwise there are many chances of small accidents to take place. So before using any machine, with the machines there is a one book is attached, which has a user guidelines given in that. Means all the points are written in that book, how you should use the machine and how you should take care of the machine. So we need to follow all those things. So what we have learned in this lessons, that machines are used for reducing efforts and doing more work in less time. Some machines are simple while others are complex. The wedge, the lever, the inclined plane, the pulley, and the wheel and axle are simple machines. There are three types of levers based on the positions of effort, load, and fulcrum. Machines should be maintained properly to keep them in a good working condition.